My maid, my desire. Chapter 1. The Virgin Maid. The cold night air sent shivers down Amara's spine as she stepped out of the old car that had brought her to the Revan Mahendra estate. She clutched the straps of her small bag tightly, her heart pounding in fear. The mansion before her was enormous, with towering pillars and massive doors made of polished mahogany. Everything about this place screamed wealth and power, two things she had lost overnight. And quat, go to the front door, and quat, the driver instructed before driving away, leaving her alone in the vast darkness. Amara swallowed hard and hesitated for a moment before finally knocking. The door opened, revealing a middle-aged woman in a neat black and white uniform. Her sharp eyes examined Amara from head to toe before she finally spoke. And quat, you must be the new maid, and quat, she said in a cold tone. And quat, yes, ma'am, and quat, Amara replied softly. The woman scoffed. And quat, come inside. Dawn and apples, tea waste time. And quat, stepping inside, Amara was instantly overwhelmed by the luxury surrounding her. A grand chandelier hung from the high ceiling, illuminating the marble floors that reflected the golden light. And quat, I am Mrs. Reenie, the head housekeeper. And quat, the woman continued. And quat, from now on, you will be working here. Your duties include cleaning, doing laundry, and ensuring all of Mr. Revan's needs are met. And quat, Amara nodded obediently, knowing she had no other choice. And quat, follow me. And quat, Mrs. Reenie ordered, walking toward the grand staircase. Amara trailed behind her, climbing the stairs that led to the second floor. The long corridor was lined with expensive paintings and elegant decor. They stopped in front of a massive door. And quat, this is Mr. Revan's room. And quat, Mrs. Reenie explained as she knocked. And quat, make sure you do not make any mistakes. And quat. Moments later, the door swung open, revealing the man who would be her employer and her worst nightmare. Revan Mahendra stood before her, his piercing black eyes scanning her with an unreadable expression. He was in his early 30s, tall, with sharp features and a strong jawline. His rolled-up white dress shirt revealed the firm muscles of his forearms. And quat, you're the new maid. And quat, he asked in a deep, emotionless voice. Amara's throat went dry. And quat, yes, sir. And quat, Revan narrowed his eyes. And quat, strange. I don't recall hiring a new maid. And quat, it was your mother's decision, sir. And quat, Mrs. Reenie clarified. Revan sighed, clearly irritated. And quat, my mother loves interfering in my affairs. And quat, he muttered. And quat, fine. Don't cause any trouble. I don't tolerate clumsy maids. And quat, he warned before shutting the door with a loud thud. Amara exhaled in relief. At least she had survived their first meeting without any disaster. But what she didn't know was that this was just the beginning of a storm that would change her life forever. Amara woke up early, long before the sun had risen. Her small room, located in the servants' and appos quarters, was simple and cold, but it was better than nothing. She had no choice but to accept her fate, working as a maid in the mansion of a man who didn't even want her there. She quickly changed into the maid's uniform, given to her by Mrs. Reenie, a modest black dress with a white apron, pulling her long hair into a ponytail. She took a deep breath before stepping out into the hallway. The house was eerily quiet as she walked toward the kitchen. The other maids were already up, preparing breakfast for the household. And quat, you and appos, Ray awake. And quat, Mrs. Reenie said as soon as she saw her. And quat, good. Your first task is to clean Mr. Revan's bedroom. Make sure everything is spotless. He's very particular about cleanliness. And quat, Amara swallowed. Cleaning the bedroom of the intimidating CEO was not something she had expected to do so soon. And quat, understood, ma'am. And quat, she replied softly. Taking a deep breath, she carried a cleaning tray and made her way to the second floor. The grand hallway was lined with tall windows, allowing the golden sunrise to cast a warm glow inside. She hesitated for a moment before finally knocking on Revan's bedroom door. No response. Maybe he was still asleep? Gently, she turned the doorknob and pushed the door open. The scent of expensive cologne and faint traces of whiskey filled the air. The room was massive, larger than her entire home before her family lost everything. A king-sized bed sat in the center, covered in dark gray sheets. And there, lying on the bed, was Revan. His bare chest was exposed, his shirt unbuttoned and slightly disheveled. His dark hair was messy, as if he had fallen asleep after a long night. Amara's cheeks flushed as she quickly turned away. Suddenly feeling like an intruder, she debated whether to leave, but then she remembered Mrs. Reenie's warning. If she failed at her job, she could be thrown out. Steeling herself, she moved quietly, carefully picking up the discarded whiskey glass from the bedside table. As she reached for the bottle, she suddenly heard a deep, groggy voice. "And Quat, what the hell are you doing? And Quat?" Amara froze. Her heart pounded violently as she slowly turned around. Revan was awake, his sharp black eyes locked onto her with an unreadable expression. "And Quat, I was just cleaning, sir. And Quat," she stammered, clutching the cleaning cloth in her hands. Revan sat up, running a hand through his tousled hair. His gaze lingered on her for a moment before he sighed. "And Quat, didn't anyone teach you to knock? And Quat? And Quat, I did knock, but you didn't answer. And Quat." He smirked lazily. "And Quat, so you thought it was okay to just walk into my room while I was asleep? And Quat." Amara lowered her gaze, feeling embarrassed. "And Quat, I'm sorry, sir. It won't happen again. And Quat." There was a tense silence before Revan finally spoke again. "And Quat, since you're already here, clean the mess. But be quiet. And Quat." Amara quickly nodded and got to work, carefully picking up the empty glass bottles and straightening the furniture. She felt his gaze on her the entire time, making her nervous. "And Quat, you're different. And Quat," he suddenly muttered. She paused, looking up at him. "And Quat, excuse me. And Quat." Revan leaned back against the headboard, his expression unreadable. "And Quat, the other maids here are either too terrified to speak or too eager to please. But you're just awkward. And Quat." Amara swallowed hard, unsure how to respond. "And Quat, I'm just trying to do my job, sir. And Quat." "And Quat, And Quat." He didn't say anything else, but the way he looked at her sent an uneasy shiver down her spine. She quickly finished cleaning and turned to leave. "And Quat, wait. And Quat." She stopped, gripping the doorknob. "And Quat, you were sent here by my mother, right? And Quat." "And Quat, yes, sir. And Quat," she replied hesitantly. Revan scoffed. "And Quat, figures. She's trying to push me into marriage by bringing you here. And Quat." Amara and Apos, as breath caught in her throat. He knew. "And Quat, don't get any ideas, lil Maid. And Quat," he said, his voice laced with warning. "And Quat, you're just here to work. Nothing more. And Quat." Amara clenched her fists. "And Quat, I understand, sir. And Quat." Without another word, she exited the room, her heart racing. But as she walked down the hallway, she couldn't shake the strange feeling that Revan's words weren't just a warning. They were a challenge.